guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Camille, also known as GRWM, and today I'm showing you guys how I went from these straight back cornrows to this beautiful lace front blonde highlighted wig, and I'm going to show you my process of how I installed this wig. So I'm showing you guys my braiding method. I do straight backs with two small in the front, and then I combine those to do big in the back, so it just speeds up the process. Now I'm going to start with moisturizing my scalp with my wonderful, amazing Tonic Essentials Herbal Butter. This is my new packaging. Let me know what you guys think. In my previous video, I introduced this product and I have spent time working on it, working on my business, and now I'm back on YouTube. But here I am going to showcase my product available at tonicessentials.com. This is the herbal butter. It is in the fragrance original, which is fragrance-free scent option. I also have a vanilla and a yummy vanilla scent and a eucalyptus scent as well. Those are very popular, loved by all the people that have tried it. So I'm gonna actually just start by massaging this butter into my scalp just to give it a nice protection on the scalp while I have my hair under a cap for about a week or so, or while I have these braids in. So I'm just gonna massage this into my scalp. The butter is a little bit cool because my room was cool, but it does turn into a nice milky and dissolvable texture. So I actually did moisturize my scalp. I moisturized my entire hair, all of my hair strands with this butter prior to corn rolling it, and now I'm just going to grease the scalp with this butter before I style it. And this is just something that I always do as a protective measure to keep my scalp moisturized while it's in protective styling. And also, you know, you want to massage your hair strands with a nice sealant. And this butter is very perfect for sealing in moisture, and also a heat protectant that I use. So I'm just massaging this butter into my scalp. But once again, you can get this butter at tonicessentials.com. It is like my go-to product for my face, my body, my hair. It is non-comedogenic. It does not clog pores, and it's super moisturizing and super beneficial, infused with organic herbs and over 14 butters and oils. So go have a look at that, guys. It is an amazing product. So I'm just gonna take a little smoothie break because you know you gotta stay healthy. That's my famous banana, blueberry, strawberry smoothie. Anyways, let's get back to it. So we're gonna start with cleaning the hairline with some isopropyl alcohol. I have the 99%. You can also go with 71% or whatever you prefer. So to slick back my edges, I'm going to use Ericka J Stuck On You styling gel. I use this. It's pretty good. I actually usually go for the Got To Be Glued Extra Hold Gel, but I'm running out, so I'm using my girls' products, and they definitely do get the job done. So I'm just going to brush those back to make sure that no hairs are in the way, no hairs will get glue on them, no hairs are going to be sticking out of this lace or anything like that. So you just want to make sure you brush everything back, and then make sure that you dry it with the hair dryer. I use the cool setting and I slick it back to make sure that it dries in place and that all the hair is slicked back. Okay, now we're going to get a regular old wig cap. This is probably the beige color. I got it from the beauty supply store, of course, like nothing special. And then I'm going to take that same isopropyl alcohol cotton round and just going to clean the edges with the cap on to make sure that there is no oil or anything that will keep it from sticking. So now I'm going to melt this cap down with some Got To Be Freeze spray. I did try to use glue at one point to glue down my cap, but I don't like that. It's just a lot. It's just too much for me. I find that freeze spray is more manageable when melting my cap, and I'm able to see like where my hairline is, because when you spray it, it gets all like wet looking and see-through. And so I'm just going to cool that down. As you can see, I do the middle. I don't really do the ear tabs until the middle is pretty much laid down. And then once that's dry in the middle, I'm going to take the scissors, cut a little ear tab in, and then I'm going to go ahead and spray those sides down. Now, also, I did want to say that I did start off by freeze spraying it and holding those sides down individually, letting that dry, but I also went in with some Got To Be Glued gel, the little bit that I had left, to seal down just the very sideburn tabs, because those sides get very tricky because it's a lot of tension. The cap doesn't really stick down to your hair without you pushing it down like I'm doing right there. I feel like that's a good technique to keep the cap glued down and dried down in place. So yeah, I just did that to both sides, and I am going to dry those down. Now when you do the Got to Be Glued gel on the side tabs, on the ear tabs, they take a while to dry, so you want to be very patient while you're letting that dry. So sorry guys, I kind of forgot to press record while I was cutting the cap, so you only got this part. But just to recap, I started in the middle, and I got this tip from Beat by Deb. That's my girl, I love her. She helped me gain confidence in my wig installs. I started in the middle, and then I cut down on the sides, doing the tabs last because those took the longest to dry. And then as you can see, I'm going to take that little strap that's like pressing on my eyeballs. I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to push it back. And this helps to bring the cap, keep the cap tight around your hair. So yeah, I took that little strap and I just pushed it back, and it kind of cuffs the back of my hair and make sure that the cap doesn't loosen up or anything like that. This is a really good technique. I'm really glad that she taught this technique to us because very useful than just cutting the sides and then the back of your hair is kind of just all out willy-nilly. So I'm just gonna, you know, spruce up this cap, melt it a little bit more, cutting off the extra skin, and yeah. All right, so I'm going to go in with a foundation that matches my skin tone for the most part right now. I'm a little bit tanned, and this is it CoverGirl? It's a CoverGirl blooper. This CoverGirl foundation, I don't really think I need to tell you guys the shade. Obviously go with the shade that matches, that you already have. Don't go out and buy no just for this wig cap. Use something that you already have that matches your skin tone perfectly, or you know, good enough. And then you want to do a very small amount, spread it evenly on the brush before you apply it, because you don't want no big old heavy patch of foundation in one spot because it's, you know, you didn't spread it out. So you want to just dab a little bit and just spread it evenly across the front of the cap, focusing on the edges first and then going into where you may have a part. You don't even need to get the entire section, but just in case you want to have versatility in where you part your hair, you want to make sure that everywhere is the skin tone. So I'm gonna go in with that alcohol swab again, the same one. Don't call me dirty, it don't even matter. And I'm just gonna wipe it down just to make sure that no foundation will obstruct the adhesive. So now we're on to the wig. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the back of the straps. You wanna make sure that it fits your head sufficiently so that it's not too loose or too tight when you glue it down, because once it's glued down, baby, it ain't coming up, okay? So now we just gonna get to this wig part. Now this is the nitty gritty part, you know. Once you put the cap on, that's all fine. But when you get that wig on, you gotta make sure you know what the hell you're doing, all right? So I wore this wig before, but I didn't really cut off the ear tabs. They were like really long, so I had to go in and do that. But right now we're just gonna fit the cap, see where the lace laying on the hairline, seeing if the wig cap is covering my edges sufficiently, and seeing, you know, where it might lay. Brushing all the hairs back, make sure it's nice and manageable for the install. So yeah, I'm just gonna get a little clip the hair back so I can really see what I'm working with, and go ahead and start managing. Now I'm showing you guys really front to end, front to back, whatever, beginning to end of how I install this. And I am not totally a professional, but I have gotten proficient enough to feel confident in my wig installs and for them to last, you know, a week or so, or even longer sometimes. So I think it's better to definitely learn from professionals, but also getting some point of views on proficient people so that you can see the trial and error, the true trial and error. Once you see somebody do it perfectly, that's great. But when you have instances where you have to solve some problems, you want to see how you can be creative to solve your problems and make your installs, you know, work for you. So I'm just showing you guys that. So I had to cut off this ear tab because it was just way too long for my hair, and I just didn't do it the last time, so I'm doing it now. You want to make sure that you cut it in the right area. And I use scissors on this side, but I advise you to use a razor because it just thins out the edges of the lace so it doesn't look as blocky. I use scissors right there. I don't really advise that. It didn't really cause a problem, but I went in the next time on the other side and did use a razor. Okay, now we're gonna go in with the glue. Now you wanna peel that lace back so it is not in the way and no hair is in the way. I'm using Ericka J's Hold Me Down Lace Adhesive. Very good glue, I recommend. So I'm just gonna do a thin line across the edge of that wig cap. I placed this wig cap perfectly. It covered pretty much all of my edges and it gave like it gave enough space for my little forehead. I don't really have that big of a forehead, so I can't have my lace all the way down on my eyebrows. So I need to be careful where I put my cap and where I put this glue. So I put the glue on the very edge of the cap and I take this rat tail comb and I spread it very thin, a little bit on the cap and a little bit on my skin, just to have, you know, some foundation for this wig lace, you know. So I'm gonna take that little comb and I'm just gonna, you wanna spread it very, very, very thin. No clunks, no gunks, and make sure that, you know, you're being careful not to bring it too far down on your forehead, but also melting the edge of that cap down with the glue by pushing it forward like so. So you're gonna evenly distribute that glue all across your headline. I didn't really focus on the ear tabs at that moment because I really want to see where the lace lays before I glue down the sideburns. So I did do 2 layers. I made sure the first layer was very flat, and before the first layer dried completely, I went in with the second layer. And you just want to do a thin little line. You can do the little dots, but I just went and did a little, you know, spread of a line down there. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing and just flatten it out, making sure it's very, very thin and making sure that it will dry pretty much clear. Now I'm taking the blow dryer on a cool high setting, and I'm going to dry it down a little bit more. As you can see, one side is more clear than the other, so I focused that on the side that was a little less clear, but I didn't let it dry completely clear because I didn't want it to be dry completely. We want it to be a little tacky so that the lace actually sticks, you feel me? So now here's the nitty gritty part. Is literally the scariest part for me of the whole wig install. You want to take that lace, and I had a little extra lace in the front, so I brought the hairline past that little extra bit of lace in the front to where the hair actually starts. And you want to be very close up in the mirror when you do this. I'm glad y'all was able to actually see what the hell I was doing, because I was definitely up in that mirror, not really caring if it really got recorded, because I wanted it to be placed perfectly. But I'm glad you were able to. I was able to capture the footage in the camera. But yeah, I laid down the middle, and then I laid down one side. You don't want to pull it too much. You want to make sure it's gently placed there so that it doesn't like pull on your hair and it doesn't like start receding back after a day or two. So make sure that hairline is placed perfectly before you melt that thing down. Now you're going to take that rat tail comb and you're just going to push it down. You're going to comb it through while pressing the lace into the glue. I already had some baby hairs cut out, so I just let them rock and pressing it down, as you can see on this with the side of the comb, and brushing the hair back so that it is secured. You feel me? And the little pieces that are sticking up, don't worry about that. You can go ahead and go back and glue that. What you don't want to do is have glue past that hairline, because you can't remove glue, but you can add glue. Keep that in mind. That is an important tip. You can add glue, but you cannot remove glue, at least while the lace is still on. You're gonna have to redo that whole thing. So I had that extra lace in the front. Sorry, I did not capture this into the camera, but I did just razor off that little extra piece of lace that really had no hair on it, and it turned out pretty all right. I did tweeze this wig prior to. Maybe I'll do a video showing my tweezing method, but it's pretty straightforward. Y'all feel me? Y'all seen a video on tweezing before. So I took a little bit of the glue and I did a very thin layer to glue down those little that little tab that was just sticking up. And you want to make sure you get all of those little nooks and crannies before you melt that lace. Side note, guys, as you can see, I have a new room. I did move. That's where I've been for the past few months. I have been moving into my new home, guys, and I love it so much. I'm going to do a video on my life updates, but I wanted to give y'all something that y'all would actually watch first. So after I glued down the extra tabs, I took my little spandex, wig spandex thingy. Got this from Amazon. You can get a little 1-inch cord of spandex or whatever, and I use that to melt my lace. So while that is melting, I'm gonna go ahead and start getting the hair together because I'm not wearing it like this. So yeah, I'm just gonna get the hair together and start parting it, start styling it. Well, I'm not gonna style it yet. What I'm just gonna do is kind of get the part together. So I decided to go with the side part because I never do side parts. Like, I like side parts, but I always do middle parts because they're very easy. And it was probably easier to do a middle part with this wig because this had a very limited space for the lace. I only had that little U part for lace, so that's why my side part stopped right there because that's all the lace that I had on this wig. I can't even remember where I got this wig, y'all. I can't even begin to tell you. So I'm not even going to tell you because I don't know. I'm not going to say a random company that probably didn't even get it from. But yeah, so I did my little side part, and now I'm going to just kind of slick that in place with my Edge Boosters slick stick. And I went in and just went around the part to slick it in place, slick down the side, slick down the front swoop, and then I go in with a little bit of freeze spray to actually hold that in place. And then I go in with that hot comb, you feel me? Make sure it's hot enough, because I don't think it was hot enough. But yeah, it was getting stuck because that's where the track started. Like, no lace space with this wig, whatever. We made it work. So you're just gonna slick it down, you know, pretty straightforward. The wig, I actually did not put foundation on the lace. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I didn't put foundation on the lace, and I was kind of blown that I forgot to do that. But I realized that the lace was actually dark enough for me to kind of slide. And I actually do put a little foundation on top of the lace afterwards, but sometimes I do want to go in and tint the lace underneath. I took off that cap, and look how slick it's looking, y'all. I was hyped. So now we're gonna focus on the ear tabs. I gotta cut out new sideburns because I cut my sideburns off. You wanna make the sideburns look realistic. I don't know if that part is looking as realistic as I wanted it to, but you don't want to tweeze too much because then you have just some bald sideburns. Nobody wants that. So I cut the length of the sideburns and I started getting my baby hairs together. So you want to take that hot comb, slick it back, get it everything together so you can differentiate where your baby hairs are going to be from the rest of the hair. And that's basically what I was doing right there. And then I'm going to like start getting the sideburns and the baby hairs together. All right, so I differentiated what baby hairs was going to pop out and what the rest of the hair, and just brush all the rest of the hair back. And I'm just going to make sure they're all the same length. If I added any new hairs, make sure you cut those to the length of your other baby hairs. Spray a little Got2b to, you know, solidify them going forward while the rest of the hair is going back. And then, you know, once you do that, you're going to put the cap back on. Now, when I said that I didn't do the ear tabs because I wanted to see where the lace lay first, that's what I meant. Those were still flipping up, so you're just going to add a little bit of glue to glue down exactly where those ear tabs are. You don't want to prematurely glue it. I don't. You can if you're better at that than me. But I want to see where the lace is actually laying before I glue down those ear tabs, because those get real tricky for me, like real tricky. So once I sprayed those down, got them kind of melting in place, I'm go ahead and put that spandex on, and then I go ahead and start styling my hair. Actually, I didn't really record me styling my hair because I had to use a flat iron when I really wanted to use a big 1-inch curling iron, but I did not have that. That's still at my mom's house, and I was not going to drive there just for that. So we're just going to fast forward to my little rinky-dink curls, and we're going to get back to the lace. So once that has melted, I styled everything. Now we're going to start curling them and styling them. I make sure I have all of the hairs in my fingers. I go ahead and get the flat iron, and I'm going to flip those curls up evenly. Ideally, you probably want to use a smaller flat iron, but this is the only flat iron that I had, but we made it work. Okay, so once you've curled them down, you kind of want to train the baby hairs to swoop in the direction and in the shape that you want them to. When they kind of start swooping in that route that you kind of aiming for, that style that you're aiming for, I use a little Got To Be Free spray on my brush. I also learned this baby hair technique from Beat by Deb, and it works pretty well. I was actually doing the foam, which was working, but sometimes if you use too much foam, it doesn't work. But the Got To Be, I didn't use enough to actually hold down the baby hair, so I went in with some styling gel. You kind of want to be careful with this because it's easy to lose the curl shape or the swoop shape when you use too much product to swoop the baby hair, so you want to be careful with that. Use a balance enough to hold it in place while keeping that natural swoop shape that you curled it into. And you just want to play with that a little bit between the brush side and the comb side to give it a nice uniform look. Yeah, I was pretty content with that. That's good enough for me. I'm gonna do the other side. That side isn't as important because obviously that's where the hair is laying, but you go ahead and make it do what it do. Okay, so wanted to give a disclaimer. When I did this side of the sideburn, I wanted to experiment with seeing how the curl looked when I flipped it the opposite way, because when you flip it up, it kind of tends to kind of stick up. I don't like the sideburns that swoop up and like stick up. So I experimented with seeing how it worked, swooping it down, which I think is a promising technique. I just kind of confused the sideburns by flipping it up and then flipping it down, but it made it work. And now that's what we're working with. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of that foundation just to clean up the parts and make everything look, you know, like it's coming from my scalp. You feel me? So we're just gonna take a little bit, cover up the little white lace that is showing and bring it back to the skin tone. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple technique, and that is pretty much it, guys. That is what it's working with. It was looking very, very skin-like, even though this is, you know, not that good of a lace. But look at this is the final result. This is me and my makeup. This is my Halloween look. Very classy, very sophisticated, very sexy. I really like these blonde highlights. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my video. I hope you learned a thing or two from this wig install video. I thank you guys so much for joining me again. I'm coming back with the content, guys. Stay tuned. I really appreciate you guys sticking in with me. Bye.